Hello everyone and welcome back. And welcome to round 2 of the Budget Rally Tournament. I don't have anything else to say, so let's get into it. So, for this round, that's right, you've seen the thumbnail, we're gonna be racing at Lake Louise Tri-Oval, or as I like to call it, the Canadian NASCAR. And just to clarify, there's gonna be 4 races of 6, and whoever finishes last in each race is eliminated. Anyways, with that being said, let's begin round 2. So, for the first heat, we have Cassius, Ika, Android, Xolstis, Ferrari, and Colony of Birchmen. And with the racers introduced, let's begin the race. And here they go. Right away, Ferrari tries to overtake, but Android pushes him to the side, which caused him to lose a lot of time to Xolstis and Jess, both of which are now making their way to the Blue Moon Bay wannabe corner, which is where Jess manages to overtake Xolstis as he goes too far on the outside. Wow, that was fast. Meanwhile in the back, Ika is chilling in 3rd place at the moment as he managed to successfully overtake Cassius. And so did Android, who squeezed through the gap that doesn't exist to overtake him. And now they head off into this section as Ferrari manages to overtake Cassius as well. And now he's trying to overtake Android on the Blue Moon Drift corner, in which he unfortunately doesn't succeed. And Ika is doing surprisingly good considering the 308 is severely underpowered. And so they make it to the Blue Moon braking zone, where Android and Ferrari try to overtake. And in the front, Xolstis is trying to keep up with Jess but is failing horribly at it, as the pace car gets out-accelerated by the F-150. Quite surprisingly, Ika managed to hold off both Android and Ferrari from overtaking him. Currently in last place is Cassius, but who says things won't change on the second lap? And so the Blue Moon Bay wannabe corner comes around where both Android and Ferrari try to go for the overtake but fail, thanks to Ika not going wide. Meanwhile in the front, Xolstis is still struggling to keep up with Jess, as she is slowly zooming off into the distance on these straights. And so Ika makes it to the temporary uphill. But before he makes it there, Android and Ferrari manage to catch back up to him. And now they head off into the Blue Moon Drift corner. And so Ferrari overtakes Android and whoa! Are my eyes deceiving me, or did I just see Ferrari slam Ika to the side? You know, Ferrari, you're lucky this isn't an FIA session event, otherwise you'd be pretty much f***ed. And so, now that he overtook Ika, he is off to catch up to Xolstis, who isn't even that far ahead actually, and he managed to easily catch up to him on the Blue Moon braking zone. And now they head off onto the start-finish straight, where Ferrari tries to overtake Xolstis but can't because he keeps cock-blocking him, all while Jess is just chilling in 1st place. And so, let's see if it's still even possible to catch up to her on the 3rd and final lap. And so they head off into the Blue Moon Bay wannabe corner, all while Jess at this point has pretty much built up a big lead over them. Anyways, on the Blue Moon Bay wannabe corner, Ferrari successfully managed to overtake Xolstis, while Android is just chilling in 4th place and Ika is battling against Cassius for the last safe spot. Overall, this race is pretty interesting, not gonna lie. And so, into the temporary uphill we go, where the race only gets more and more interesting. And I guess Android is now trying to catch up to Xolstis on the Blue Moon Drift corner. Meanwhile, Ferrari has made some progress in catching up to Jess. And I guess he manages to make some more progress as he makes it to the Blue Moon braking zone, where he overshoots the corner, but that's okay cause he managed to catch up anyways. And now let's see if Ferrari can pull a last-minute overtake on Jess. I guess the answer to that question is no, as Colony of Birchmen finishes 1st once again, And once again, Ferrari has to settle for second place. And for these two, it was close, but Xosys came out on top, with Android having to settle for fourth and Ika taking the last safe spot. And so like that, Cassius finished 6th and is now eliminated. For the second heat, we have Mavis, 454 HO Bowtie, Expert, The, Ryuhei SVT, and Fancy Wreck, which is a pretty interesting lineup. Anyways, let's get on with the race. Starting off strong, as both The and SVT managed to overtake everyone right off the bat. And Fancy Wreck is right behind them, as he managed to do the exact same thing, just not as quickly. And he is now trying to get second place by catching up to The and overtaking him. And the classic muscle cars are just being classic muscle cars. Mavis managed to successfully overtake both Bowtie and Expert on the Blue Moon Bay wannabe corner. And now they are heading into the temporary uphill, which is where Fancy Wreck is successfully managing to catch up to The. And now we head off into the Blue Moon Drift corner where he manages to successfully catch up to him. But it's not quite enough to overtake yet. Meanwhile, SVT and the not-so-heavy Ford Focus are just chilling in first at the moment. Anyways, we now enter the Blue Moon braking zone, where the battle between The and Fancy Wreck only gets closer. And now they are on the start-finish straight. Let's see if there's any action. In the meantime, Bowtie's about to go for the overtake. Look at that. And if you're wondering, yes, Expert did fall behind a bit, but not enough for this to be a guaranteed elimination. And so, now that we are on the start-finish straight, let's see if he manages to get out of the danger zone on the second lap, while Bowtie has managed to successfully build up a lead over them as he heads off to the Blue Moon Bay wannabe corner. Meanwhile, in the front, it looks like Fancy Wreck has failed at overtaking The on the start-finish straight. And now that they made it through the Blue Moon Bay wannabe corner, let's see if anything changes on the temporary uphill. And so, they head off into the temporary uphill while also trying to catch back up to SVT. And now they go through the uphill and into the Blue Moon Drift corner, where Fancy Wreck uses the main gimmick of this corner to try to overtake The and succeeds, claiming yet another second place and now trying to catch up to SVT as well. And I'm pretty sure that as long as The isn't in the danger zone, he really doesn't care. And so, the classic muscle cars made it through the Blue Moon Drift corner, with the battle between Mavis and Expert as intense as always. Now onto the Blue Moon braking zone, where Mavis slides a bit more than Expert. And that gives Expert a chance to overtake Mavis, which is an opportunity that he definitely took. And will he be able to claim 5th place? I guess we'll find out on the 3rd and final lap. But we'll check back on these classic muscle cars later. For now, let's focus on the front of the grid. And as you can see, there's a pretty cool fight between two former semi-finalists. And now they both head off into the temporary uphill, where the race only intensifies. And all of that is happening while The is just chilling in the middle of everything. And here Fancy Wreck goes over the temporary uphill and into the Blue Moon Drift corner. And so he uses the main gimmick of this corner to try to catch up to SVT. And I'm guessing he sort of succeeded. Meanwhile, I'm pretty sure The can still try to catch back up to Fancy Wreck, but I highly doubt he will succeed in it. Anyways, it looks like Fancy Wreck has successfully managed to catch up to SVT on the Blue Moon braking zone. And now he tries to overtake him, but unfortunately fails. And yeah, I think it's pretty obvious who places where at this point, so now let's check back on the classic muscle cars. And so Mavis is trying to overtake Expert, but doesn't seem to be succeeding as of right now, purely to the fact that Expert is not willing to give up a spot into round 3. Anyways, we now head off into the Blue Moon Bay wannabe corner, where Mavis tries to gain 5th place back. And while that is happening, Bowtie is just chilling in 4th place as he managed to build a comfortable lead over these two. And so, Mavis unfortunately did not succeed at overtaking Expert. And so, she tries again on this section of the track but fails, as Expert's Mustang became so much faster than her GTO all of a sudden. And now they are just heading off into the Blue Moon Drift corner, where hopefully something that's worth talking about is gonna happen, other than Bowtie zooming off a bit more. And I'm guessing something did happen as Expert managed to zoom off from Mavis from what I can tell. And now they head off into the Blue Moon braking zone, where it's gonna be now or never for Mavis's GTO. And so she makes it through the Blue Moon braking zone, and now it's only a matter of who makes it to the finish line first, as they finally have a chance to use all the power they stuffed into these classic muscle cars. And so Bowtie zooms off with his great for a muscle car top speed, which allows him to make it to the finish line very easily, as he claims 4th place while Expert claims 5th place, beating out Mavis, who finished in 6th place and therefore is eliminated. But hey, at least she performed better than in Tuning Village. For the 3rd heat, we have Smurtskasoy, Interrupting Octopus, Drip KA, Halo, myself, and Alan Coder. And with the introductions done, let's begin this awesome race. Starting off strong, as both Drip KA and Halo managed to overtake everyone to try to build up an early lead. And so Smurtskasoy tries to hold both of them off but fails miserably, with Drip KA claiming 1st place as he makes it to the Blue Moon Bay wannabe corner, which is where both Smurtskasoy and Halo manage to overtake him back. And now let's see what's gonna happen as they make it to the temporary uphill. And so, me and Alan Coder zoom off as we both manage to overtake Octopus. And now we head off into the Blue Moon Drift corner as Alan Coder manages to overtake everyone that's in his way, while I got cock-blocked by the 2 Lancers. However, that wasn't enough to stop me from overtaking Drip KA and Smurtskasoy, as I successfully managed to overtake both of them before the Blue Moon braking zone. And now that we made it to said braking zone, Smurtskasoy slides, which allowed Drip KA to try to overtake him. And so he managed to do just that, as Smurtskasoy slides again, causing him to lose a lot of time. And that also allowed Octopus, who's in the danger zone, to catch up as well. And we're about to see which one of the two comes out on top on the 2nd lap, as they are both battling menacingly on the start-finish straight. And so they both head off into the Blue Moon Bay wannabe corner. Meanwhile in the front, I am currently battling against Halo for 2nd place, as we both make it through the set corner into the next speed section, where the Żółtek Viper slides, allowing Halo's Evo 10 to build some time over it. But as we make it through the temporary uphill, I managed to successfully catch back up to Halo, and also managed to take 2nd place away from him right before the Blue Moon Drift corner. And now that I got Halo out of the way, I'm gonna try everything I can to catch back up to Alan Coder, who at the moment is just chilling in 1st place with a ginormous lead over everyone else. And so, I try to catch back up to him on the Blue Moon braking zone. In the meantime, Smurtskasoy and Interrupting Octopus are still battling for the last safe spot. And so, they too make it through the Blue Moon braking zone as the battle only intensifies. And so, now they made it to the start-finish straight, let's see what's gonna happen. And so, from what I can tell, Octopus is trying to overtake Smurtskasoy but can't because he keeps cock-blocking him. And so they make it through the jump. Don't worry, I didn't blast your ears today. And so Octopus overtakes on the inside as the 3rd and final lap starts. Anyways, in the front, Drip KA is chilling in 4th place as he is unable to catch back up to Halo, while I, from what I can tell, made absolutely no progress in catching up to Alan Coder. But that might change as the Blue Moon Drift corner is up ahead. In the meantime, Octopus is managing to win against Smurtskasoy as he manages to out-accelerate him on this speed section. But which one is the superior one? I guess we'll find out at the finish line. As for Drip KA and Halo, just like I'm pretty sure that as long as they're not last, they really couldn't care less. And so, the Blue Moon braking zone comes around with me unfortunately unable to catch back up to Alan Coder, as the C8 Corvette is just too fast on the speed sections. And so, after a satisfying last to first drive, Alan Coder manages to get first place and is moving on to the third round. And so am I as I cross the finish line in second. And Halo's Evo 10 seems to be holding up strong as it manages to make it to the finish line in third, with Drip KA right behind in fourth. And it was a tough fight between the two, but Octopus manages to claim 5th place. And Smurtskasoy is eliminated, which really is a shame, given how much potential his Lancia Delta had. For the 4th heat, we have Terra, Arcade, Roxy Leyland, Pin, Rosie Miranto, and Julie Canoto. Anyways, the race shall begin upon me finishing this sentence. Ah yes, the intro song to Night Drive's 500 horsepower. Anyways, as soon as the race starts, Pin and Arcade managed to overtake everyone. But unfortunately for them, Julie Canoto managed to do the exact same thing. And he also overtook Arcade while he's at it. And now it is up to Pin to try to hold off the Nismo 400R. And so, as they make it to the temporary uphill, Julie Canoto tries to overtake but doesn't seem to be succeeding as of right now. Meanwhile, further back, Roxy and Rosie are now trying to catch back up to them after being cock-blocked by Terra for a while. While Terra himself is struggling a lot in the general lead. Anyways, whoa there Roxy, you wouldn't want to sabotage Rosie Miranto, would you? But I guess the contact allowed the Supra to hold off the Atenza for a bit longer, so good for Roxy, I guess. Anyways, now they made it to the Blue Moon braking zone. I guess Roxy managed to do the exact same thing yet again. Meanwhile in the front, Arcade managed to catch up to Pin and is now trying to overtake him as we speak, who unfortunately was unable to hold off Julie Canoto. And now he is zooming off into the distance with no sign of anyone catching up to him anytime soon. Anyways, as the second lap starts, Arcade goes for the overtake on Pin. Look at that. And I'm also guessing that Roxy's minor inconvenience allowed Rosie to overtake her, as she makes it through the Blue Moon Bay wannabe corner while trying to overtake him back, while Terra is just unfortunately falling behind corner by corner. And so, while Roxy tries to overtake Rosie back, Pin is now in third place as Arcade managed to overtake him like I said earlier. And now Pin loses even more time to Arcade as he overshoots the Blue Moon Drift corner a bit. And now he makes it to the Blue Moon braking zone while Arcade builds up even bigger of a gap than before. Oh well, I guess not every race of a tournament can be very eventful. Anyways, Julie Canoto's still chilling in first place. I have no idea how on God's green earth that would ever change, while Pin's GTO is just busy getting humiliated by the Crossbow R. But things still might change for Pin on the third and final lap. And so, Rosie Miranto uses the fact that Roxy slides to his advantage to try to build up a gap over her, which, from what I can tell, worked flawlessly. And now Roxy Leyland bounces her way into the Blue Moon Bay wannabe corner, as she now has to deal with not getting overtaken by Terra, given that Rosie Miranto is way too far ahead to try to overtake him at this point. And so, as he makes it to the temporary uphill, Pin tries to catch back up to Arcade yet again, and yet again, fails horribly at it, as Arcade's Crossbow R is not willing to give up second place. In the meantime, Julie Canotto makes it to the Blue Moon braking zone with the easiest first place in this tournament so far. And with Pin unable to catch up to Arcadely, I think it's pretty obvious what the finishing order is gonna be, as Pin makes it to the Blue Moon braking zone with him unable to catch up to Arcadely like I said. And so Arcadely made it to the start-finish straight, and so did Julie Canotto, who manages to successfully get his second victory of the tournament, while Arcadely, to the surprise of most, managed to successfully make it to the finish line in second, and Pin manages to successfully round out the podium again. And so tonight's least eventful race ends with Rosie Miranto in 4th place and Roxy Leyland in 5th place. And it looks like Terra and his mighty Dodge Charger has been plugged out of the competition. But hey, at least he managed to beat his rival Marzo, something which probably can't be said for a future tournament, but maybe I'm getting ahead of myself, who knows. And that's about it for round 2. If you enjoyed, which I know you did, like the video, and maybe even consider subscribing. I would really appreciate it. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in round 3.